Hi, I'm Riley Donahue, and this is my creative autobiography project, part two. I chose to write a letter from a former student. Dear Miss Donahue, I wanted to reach out and thank you for my experience in your class. Your art room was always a space where I knew I would be welcomed, regardless of what was happening at home. In your class, I felt encouraged to have fun, experiment, and look at things with a new perspective. The biggest lesson you taught me was attentiveness and analysis. You stressed the importance of attention. Once I started noticing color and lighting and how it changes on what I was trying to render, it became easier for me to capture my ideas. I always thought that the meaning of art was for museum curators to decide. However, you always had patience and urged the class to spend time just looking at art and noticing our response. We broke things down into small steps. We focused on what we saw and how we felt. Then we could ask ourselves questions. Why do I feel that way? What did the artist do that impacted my response? Suddenly, I felt confident making assertions about what an art piece meant. I came back I came into your class thinking of things as black and white with right answers and wrong answers. You taught us that there can be gray areas and that different opinions do not always mean that somebody is wrong. I remember this lesson often. Whenever I'm confronted with something that I don't understand right away, I stop, breathe, and start noticing. My curiosity also flourished in your class. You encouraged us to find what we were passionate about and then make art about it, rather than trying to make us feel passionate about subjects after the fact. You taught me that making art is not one straight line from beginning to end. Often you hit bumps along the way and need to pivot or experiment to find a solution. I work in IT now, and although I'm not an artist every day, whenever I need to write code, I solve the problems the same way that I would in your class. Speaking of experimentation, you taught us that you cannot experiment without the risk of failure, and that failure is nothing to be ashamed of. You constantly reminded us that messing up is part of learning. Unlike some of my other classes, you were not afraid to mess up in front of your students. You told us at the beginning of the year that we could teach you just like you are teaching us. I loved that you listened to our interests, and if we had concerns, you would address them instead of expecting obedience. You mentioned once that you were influenced by Paulo Freire. I read some of his writing recently, and it makes a lot of sense that you valued our input. I carry the lessons you taught me, and I keep them with me throughout my life. I still love to make art in my free time. My art is where I feel free to express myself and experiment without failure. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart. Sincerely, your former student. For my reflection, I put some of my own student work up there. Um, I think this assignment really kind of culminated a lot of what we learned throughout this course. It also made me reflect on my own accomplishments and how much I've grown. First of all, as an artist, just even putting together some of my old work compared to the work I've been doing this semester and how much I've already grown. And as a teacher, working with my students. So I accepted my first teaching position at the beginning of this semester, and it's been amazing to kind of grow as a teacher while I'm in this course. Um, it also really inspired me for the future. I think writing that letter affirmed the way that I want to affect my students, and it motivates me to continue because I want to. Um, have a good effect on people and really impact people's lives, whether they realize it or not. Um, I know that, the reality does not always match the aspirations of teaching, but I think that the reflection of this project and going through some of my past and what's brought me here, it really affirms that incremental growth is very powerful over time and that, you just have to keep going to improve. So I'm very excited to continue this program. I'm excited to continue my teaching career. And I've had, a great time doing a lot of the assignments for this course. So I'm very thankful, and I hope that you all have an amazing winter break. Thank you so much.